Okay, so we have our pre-flop charts here, and this is going to be the button, raise first in, free-handed. Basically the hands we should be raising or going all in with, and the hands that we should be folding. As you see, at 25 big blinds, we have the widest range that we're raising, and it progressively gets tighter and tighter. At 17 big blinds, we add the all-in option, and that would be with hands like ace-5 suited, ace-9 offsuit, deuces, threes and fours, and queen-10 suited. The bottom of our range at 25 big blinds is ace-2 suited, king-3 suited, queen-4 suited, so it's quite easy to remember, and then jack-5 suited is close, so if we've got a little triangle going out like that, and it kind of similar happens again with the 9-6, 8-5, 7-5 type hands, and 4-5 suited being the worst suited connector that we should be raising. And then 9-10, Jack-9, Queen-9, King-9 are the bottom of our range on the offsuit stuff, with a slight bit of King-8 off and 9-8 off in the mix. But when it's split like that, it just means EV mutual. So if your opponents are specifically tight, then you'll make more EV by playing a hand like 8-9 and King-8. And then if they're like re-raising pre-flop and playing a bit more aggressive than GTO, then you're going to want to just fold those hands. And given that it's not making money in the long run, it's breaking even. Okay, so what we noticed at 15 big blinds, we're going all in quite a bit, with up to ace-6 suited, all of those suited ones, and still similar with the suited stuff with the pocket pairs, just adding pocket fives in, and now adding in much more of this suited broadways and 9-10 suited and jack-9 suited, along with king-queen off and some frequency, some offsuit, king-jack and ace-queen off. Ace-10, ace-9, ace-8, and at this point just going all in. And at 13 big blinds, we have much more all-ins, and it becomes a big part of our strategy. But we're not really raising anymore. We still have the ace-king off. We still have the ace-king suited down to ace-8 suited, because we can raise cool any all-in at this stack. So we're quite comfortable raising the suited stuff. Also does better post-flop when we flop flush draws and stuff like that. And if we go down to the 11 big blinds, we see now we're pretty much all in with most of our hands, and we're balancing aces, ace-king suited, ace-queen suited, ace-jack suited, with king-8 suited, king-7 suited, king-6 and king-5 suited, and queen-8 suited. If you've noticed, a lot of this suited stuff got taken out of our opening range, and also the 9x got taken out of the raising range. From 17 big blinds, we're no longer raising jack-9 off at all, and at 15 big blinds we start not raising queen-9 off. At 13 big blinds, we're no longer raising 9-10 jack-9, and mainly not raising queen-9 off. And at 11 big blinds, we're no longer raising queen-9, jack-9 or 9-10 off at all, and king-9 off becomes the only 9x that we are raising on the offsuit. Oh, ace-9 off, of course, but I meant that's not an ace. Okay, so you see it's a big part of our strategy here just to be going all in. If we go one more, because we've got one more chart on the next table, we've got the 9 big blinds, and we're really rarely raising at this point. It really is just an all-in game, but we want to balance the aces, kings and queens with something, and queen-4 suited, queen-7 suited, jack-7 suited, king-9 off, 7-8 suited, ace-10 suited, ace-queen suited, all just good hands to have in there as a raise, and then so at least we can raise fold a couple of hands, and we can raise call a few hands. Okay, so now we're going to move on to when we're underneath 9 big blinds, it becomes just an all-in play. 7 big blinds, this would be our range. At 5 big blinds, you notice not much changed at all. We added in, we actually took out the jack-7 suited, so it got a bit tighter. But this, I didn't add too many charts because they were so similar from 9, 8, 7, 6. They were so similar. King, if you see the King 5, it goes down to King 5 at 5 big blinds, 7 big blinds. King 8 is the bottom of our jamming range. But as you see, that doesn't change from 5 to 1 either. King 5 still becomes the bottom of our range. So I do have something to talk about this, as GTO is solved in a snapshot. It's not considering that you're going to get hit by the blinds next hand. So I would recommend being a little bit looser from 5 big blinds and under, just because you're going to get hit by the blinds. And so if you jam the queen 5 suited, queen 4 suited, jack 7 suited, jack 6 suited, hands like that, you're probably going to do better, because like I said, it doesn't consider that the blinds can go up and you're going to get hit by the blinds. So this would be assuming that this is the last hand you ever played, and this would be the best way to play it. But when blinds and stuff go up, and you're about to get hit by the blinds, and the blinds are about to go up and you're about to get hit by the blinds as well, those two things can change this. It hasn't been solved because it's a bit of too many moving pieces to solve, but just something to consider. You can also get dealt better hands as well, so there's some arguments for saying just playing this is fine, but personally I'm just a little bit looser from 5 big blinds and under, because blinds going up and getting hit by them, but not extremely. You don't want to be doing something that's losing money, but I think also folding some of these hands is losing money when you consider that you'll be hit with any random 2 in the next hand, and quite good odds to call off when someone goes all in. So just something to consider about the pre-flop button stuff there when we're going all in. But if you just use these charts, you'll definitely do fine. Like these are the GTO charts. Okay, so now we have a page of mixed stack sizes. So this is when we're on the button and we have 17 big blinds. The small blind has 17 big blinds and the big blind has 13 big blinds. And the second one will be when we have 17 big blinds and the small blind has 13 big blinds and the big blind has 17 big blinds. So the things that we notice here is that when the small blind is deeper than the big blind, we just have more of an polarized strategy. So we're not raising all of the suited stuff, we're dropping a few of them, the bottom of them. This will be because the small blind will have a nice stack for re-raising all in, and then we've kind of like just put 2 big blinds and we're not really going to realize our EV of our hand. So just pushing a few hands that we don't want to raise fold. For example, ace jack, yeah, we could definitely raise call it, but we also need to balance having some good hands in there. So ace jack being the bottom of our all-in range, king queen off, queen jack suited, queen 10 suited, all for 17 big blinds when the small blind 17 and the big blinds 13, and all of these ace suited, ace up to ace 6 suited, and the pocket pairs. And then when we notice the big blind is bigger, the reason why we can raise more hands is because 1, we've got more implied odds to play a pot in position, but 2, we can now raise, call and all in against the 13 big blinds, a bit more comfortable with some of these hands that we had to go all in with before, like king queen for example. It's only at mixed frequency, and so we're just a bit more comfortable with our range. Queen jack suited, just raising because we can easily call off the 13 big blind rejam, and we can fold to the 17 in the big blind, but the big blind won't be re-raising all in as much as the small blind, so we've got less reasons to worry when the big blind is deeper than the small blind with our range, because we can get a good price and call off against a smaller stack when the main strategy is re-raise or fold from the small blind. Now we're going to look at a couple of different scenarios. So we've got a 14, 14, 7, so button 14, small blind 14, and big blind 7, and then we have button 14, small blind 7, and big blind 14. So same way that we've kind of done it in the first two, we've done in the second two. So what do we notice about the range? Now with the small blind being shallower, we've got a bit of more of an open range. So we're really scared about that rejam from the small blind. So we're not raising the 6-7 suited, the 8-6 suited. See these kind of hands now, we could actually call off against the 7 big blind rejam and be getting a decent price and be doing fine against this range. Whereas we're not going to be doing as good as against the small blind range here. And the big blind still has decent odds that he can call us with a wide range that we can actually realize some post flop. So if you notice, when the small blind is shallower and we can call the re-raise, we can just play a wider range, but still going all in plenty, going all in with both strategies plenty now, whereas up here we saw more all-ins with the deeper, quite similar all-ins, but still going all in with a bit more skeptical, oh no, similar type of hands. Yeah, it's a very, very similar type of hands for the all-in, now that the stack's got a bit shallower. And then when we've got 17, 17, 6, so the big blind is 6 and the small blind is 17 and we're 17 on the button, and then when the small blind is 6 and the big blind is 17, we're still 17 on the button, then we have this chart. Now what I've noticed about this chart is a little bit different, because now we have the odds to call off the 6 big blind anyway, that we don't really have to worry about going all in as much when the small blind is 17 big blinds. So if you see up here 17, 17, 13, we were going all in with like the 9, 10 suited and the Jack 9 suited. We don't have to do that anymore when the big blind is so shallow that we can call the all in from the small blind, from the big blind, and then also the small blind has less incentive to re-raise as a bluff, because the big blind's just getting great odds then, so there's not much re-raise all in as bluffs from the small blind. So it just makes our raise strategy a little bit stronger here than it was up here. So I made a slide that we can look at now, which kind of summarizes the mixed stacks for us. So when the small blind is greater than the big blind, we use a tighter opening range. The all-in sizing is used with hands that benefit from denying the small blind the opportunity of rejamming good equity hands. We still have a good enough range to play against the big blind, so we want to still have good enough hands in our range, so we're not going all in with everything, because otherwise we'd be wasting hands like aces and kings. When the small blind is less than the big blind, we have room to raise slightly wider, given we can profitably call more versus the small blind when he goes all in. So we kind of spoke about this already. We have a wider range to play versus the deeper stack in the big blind. So again, kind of covered this. When the small blind or the big blind are at 6 big blinds or under, we must never raise a hand that is not comfortable calling the all in of the short stack, as we're going to have great odds to call. We now want to deny the big blind the opportunity of isolating a pot between the small blind and big blind, so we also benefit from denying him equity with good holdings. So if we just fly back one to look at this, so it's not like a 17 big blinds, it's not like we're just raising all of our good hands. We still want to deny him the equity of re-raising us, so we still go all in with a lot of our hands, like A7 suited, A6 suited, A3 suited. So that's the reason why we're going all in there, is because we're just denying him the equity with some of those rejams that he had. Okay, so that summarizes all of the button pre-flop stuff. So I'll leave that out there.